Hi, I am Shubha Narayanan, and we have with us today Mr. Tim Macmillan, President of the American Foundry Society. Welcome to the IFEX 2012 and the Pavilion of Forace Polymers. And now to start with, Tim, can I ask you, how do you find the IFEX this year?
I think Bangalore is an excellent location for the conference. The technical sessions are very well positioned, and it looks to be a great event.
All right, good. And how is the turnout? What do you think about the turnout? What do you think about our pavilion and the pavilion architecture in general?
Well, you know, the Indian foundry industry has grown tremendously over the last 15 years, and so it's incredible for me. I came to one of the first Institute conferences back in the 90s, and it's amazing to see the developments here. The number of people is just daunting. It's really exciting to see. I think it positions Forace tremendously well, and I'm very impressed with the stand, and I think they're going to have an excellent conference.
All right, good to hear that. And have you attended the technical sessions so far?
I haven't had an opportunity to attend the technical sessions. It's still early in the conference here, but I'm excited to see what developments the engineers are putting forward here in India.
All right. Now, can you give us a little bit more information on the collaboration between the United States and India in the foundry business?
Certainly. India and the United States have had a very long tradition of collaboration on a technical level in the foundry industry, and I'm very pleased to be here as a guest of the Institute. We have spent quite a bit of time talking about what technical considerations we can share together, what mutual values we can find and build our industry together across the world.
All right, sounds good. And how has your journey been so far in the foundry industry?
It's been a tremendous ride for me. I started my career in this industry, and the growth has been just unbelievable. I remember the days when really most of the metal casting was being done in Europe and the United States, and it's really wonderful to see what India has done to grow not only the industry itself, but to grow the level of technical competence and to begin to share that in a collaborative way with us in the United States and vice versa. You know, we share a lot of the same customers in common, and as a result it's of mutual interest for both the Indian foundry industry and the American Foundry Society to work together towards that end.
All right. Now, we know that any industry has its own set of challenges. Now, what are some of the major challenges in front of the foundry industry in India and abroad? You could share both.
Well, I think India is going through a similar type of transition that the United States went through a number of years ago. Obviously, some of those areas that are quite important are looking at issues of safety and labor competencies, making sure that we keep our workers safe, that we find a high level of competence, that in particular when it comes to design of metal castings and the productions of those, in particular using products like Forace provides, it's really important that India continues to strive forward, and I've seen a tremendous amount of progress. Those are the same challenges, some of which we faced in the past in the U.S., and frankly some of those we still face today. And both of our countries are looking at how to leverage our industries in order to continue to grow the products and capabilities that companies like Forace have.
Yeah, and you could tell us what your strategies are to address some of the strategies that your organization adopts to address these challenges.
Sure. Yeah, in fact, we share, as I mentioned before, common customers. Whether you look at one of the largest casting consumers being the automotive and agricultural and heavy machinery industries or others. So it's very important for us, while we may compete in some form, in reality, I think oftentimes we look at the ability to be partners in some respect, because we know ultimately that we all have to satisfy those demands of our end user. And it's only through common development of technology that we can be successful. And I'm really looking forward to some further discussions, both with the Institute here in India, as well as for very strong and reputable companies like Forace Polymers to continue those growth strategies as an international foundry business.
All right. right. And now let's talk about the future trends in the foundry industry. What's your take on this?
Well, maybe a little bias might bleed into this because I'm the former president of a company called Magma Foundry Technologies, and Magma is a worldwide company producing simulation software tools and engineering for metal casting. And so when you look at a lot of the leaps that we can make as an industry, whether production is here in India or productions in North America, the ability to leverage technology. Your husband's in IT, you understand that quite well, and the manufacturing industries have a real opportunity to leverage technical knowledge and to move it at an accelerated rate through using technology tools such as simulation, metal treatment technologies, automation processes within the industry. A lot of these things will improve our efficiencies and reduce cost, ultimately providing a better product to the customer at the end.
What do you think about sand reclamation? You already mentioned about automation and using better technology and all that. What do you think about sand reclamation?
Well, I see in India as well, and we've focused a lot in North America on sustainability, and that it's quite important for us to continue to look at how we leave things for the generations. You and I both have children. We both want to leave a better world for our children, and things like sand reclamation allow us the opportunity to leverage cost so we can reuse our materials, but at the same time then that reduces the consumption of raw materials that are mined from the earth, and it also reduces some of the chemicals that we then have to produce. So at the end of the day, we build a greener, more sustainable situation for the industry.
Which is the way to go forward, isn't it? Greener. Yeah. And now we know that India is the second largest castings manufacturer, only next to China. How do you see the growth of this industry in India?
From what I see so far, it's a huge opportunity that's already been realized to some extent. The world demand for castings in many sectors will continue to rise. India is positioned very, very well. What's always amazing to me is understanding and seeing the high level of technical competence in India. The engineers, the metallurgists, the technical specialists here. I think India is very well positioned for growth in that area, and I think the United States, Canada, and Mexico that my society services also have done a lot in those arenas, and together there's huge opportunity for us. And India is perfectly positioned to continue to be a leader in that arena.
Before we let you go, I have one last question for you. 5 years from now, what changes do you perceive in the foundry industry?
Well, other than having a little bit more gray hair, I think that the area of automation in particular, cost reductions that provide efficiency improvements, and more importantly, provide us with the opportunity to reduce cost because we increase consistency in our manufacturing, ultimately will win the day. India, much like a lot of other countries, entered the industry with huge labor cost advantages. As Indian society continues to develop and the cost of living and the result of that being improvement in salaries and living conditions for workers, that will necessitate some higher cost for labor, which means that the Indian industries will continue to focus on process improvements and productivity improvements. I know that the foundry industry here, through efforts from a lot of suppliers like Forace and others, will be very, very well positioned to leverage those productivity improvements to reduce cost and improve the living conditions here in India for their workers.
Well, thank you so much for giving us your valuable time, and thank you for sharing all those positive and encouraging thoughts. It was good to have you, Tim, and have a great day at the event today.
Thank you very much.